Hello everybody, this week I'm in the mood for a bit of rockabilly and I'm going to be talking about the song 20 Flight Rock, which is something of a rock and roll rockabilly standard, one of those tunes you should probably know about if you're remotely interested in this style of music. Now, most of what I'm going to be talking about today is going to be based on the original Eddie Cochran recording, but I'm going to be giving you a few other options as well. I might talk a bit more generally about rockabilly soloing and give you a few bonus licks. Now, for those of you who don't know the tune, I'm just going to play through a little bit of it for you right now. There we are. I couldn't resist just sneaking in a little bit of extra guitar soloing at the end. But let me tell you a little bit about this song. As I said, recorded by Eddie Cochran originally in 1956. There are actually two versions of this. It was subsequently re-recorded, a slightly different version, I think in a different key. But most of what I'm going to be talking about today is based on the original recording, which for me is superior in terms of the guitar work. And this is a much covered song. It's been done by loads of people. The Rolling Stones have recorded it. I came across a Jack White recording of this tune whilst I was researching this video, and also a great live performance by Brian Setzer and Jeff Beck, which is well worth checking out. And I suppose most famously, this is the tune that got Paul McCartney into the Beatles, or into the Quarrymen technically, which was the band that John Lennon had, which then went on to become the Beatles. And when Lennon and McCartney first met, I think Lennon was very impressed by Macca's ability to sing and play this tune. So arguably without this tune there would be no Beatles. So let me get down to business. I'm going to take you through the rhythm guitar stuff, those great riffs. I'm going to talk about the solo as played by Eddie Cochran, and I may as well break down my little solo that I played at the start of this video and just give you a few extra little rockabilly licks as well. This one's based on a 12-bar blues in A, and there are two sections to this tune. I'm just going to call them verse and the chorus. Let's start with the verse, and this is based around this classic riff, and with this there are a few different ways you can do it. I think most people just play this really with mostly single notes. So you can start with just an open A string. You've got a quick slide from 3 to 4 on the A string, and then you've got 2nd fret on the D string. That's option number 1. Important to get the swing and to get the rhythm here. It's all based on that kind of syncopated slide in the middle of the riff. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Then if you wanted to thicken up that riff a little bit, you can actually play some double stops. So you could throw in this A chord or an A power chord. So play the open A string, 2 on the D, maybe 2 on the G as well, and then play the double stop at the end of the riff on the G and D strings. So that sounds good, I think, sort of thickening up the riff a little bit. Then if you listen really closely on the recording, I'm actually hearing this. Got some double stops there on the slide. It's this kind of minor third sound. So you start with the A power chord, then I've got 3 on the A, 1 on the D, and sliding that double stop up. So I think that sounds cool as well. Those are your 3 options you've got at that point in the song. So that riff is the intro to the tune, and then we're into the 12 bar structure. We play that riff 4 times and then we take it to the 4 chord, and it's really just transposing that riff. So now I'm over to a D chord, got just the open D string and 2 on the G. Got the slide from 3 to 4 this time on the D string, and play that little double stop, 2 on the G, 3 on the B. And if you want, you can throw in that double stop slide as well here. And then we're back to the 1 chord, and we've got some stops here, so we're just playing the A, got a rest for a couple of bars, then we're going to the 5. So exactly the same riff, I'm just taking it down onto the lower strings. And then back to the 1 chord, again just stopping on that 1 chord, and we've got 2 bars worth of rest. Then we're into the chorus, and it's actually really hard to hear on the original recording exactly what Eddie Cochran is doing. The guitar is mixed very, very low. It could be that he's just doing something very simple and just kind of holding down the chords and just doing a very simple rhythm part. So that's option number 1, just taking it through the blues there, either with some power chords or with some 7th chords. And option number 2 would be to double the bass line, and this could be what Cochran is doing in some places. So you could just play single notes and the bass line is going something like this. So just doubling that walking part, which is played on the double bass, a little bit of palm muting there. I think that sounds good, but as I say, I'm not sure that's what Eddie Cochran is doing on the original recording. And what I ended up doing is kind of halfway in between those 2 things. So I was doing kind of a muted chordal rhythm part, but I was also throwing in and suggesting a bit of that walking bass line as well. So you end up with a part something like this. That kind of idea. I'm playing on the A and D string, starting off on that A power chord and just throwing in some of that walking bass line. So that kind of an idea, and keeping it quite loose. The important thing here is just to keep that kind of shuffle swinging rhythm going, and sometimes I'm hitting single notes, sometimes it's double stops. Again, a little bit of palm muting is going to sound good here. Then we just take it round the 12 bars. So and then back to that main riff at the end. Then we're into the solo, and Cochran's solo contains lots of great rockabilly language, loads of nice double stop riffs, and the opening lick is this. Something like that. We're really just repeating this double stop shape here, so 5th fret on the top 2 strings and sliding into that shape. I think it's that double stop. Sometimes it might just be a kind of unison thing there with the open high E string in there, but both of those things will work. Just repeating that, then we're just varying the rhythm a little bit. So great how you can get so much mileage out of just a simple double stop shape, and it's more about the attitude and just finding some nice kind of rhythmic ideas to play around with. And then we're into another really classic rockabilly idea. These kind of double stops with pull-offs, and it's based on this kind of idea. So frets 8, 7 and 5, just a double pull-off. And you can, if you like, just do it on the top string and the B string. But in fact, what Cochran's doing, he's playing it as a double stop. So you're actually going to have to flatten your fingers down over the high E and B strings. And a little bit awkward to do that. I'm doing that by stretching up with my 3rd finger You could, if you prefer, use your pinky there. It feels more comfortable for me, and I've got more strength to use my third finger there, but up to you. And then we're taking that over to the B and G strings. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's kind of triplet rhythm. And we're repeating that 3 times. And then next we've got that unison idea at the 5th fret. And then so more double stops. This time we're playing on the B string, but we've got that droning open top string as well. Coming down to this A note, sliding back up. So I played a little bit loosely on the recording, but that's an approximation of what is going on. So that's the complete solo. Maybe I'll just put all of that together for you. And then I just played another 12-bar solo of my own, and I almost certainly stole 1 or 2 Brian Setzer ideas. I was watching, as I say, that Jeff Beck Brian Setzer thing earlier in the week, and certainly the opening idea is very Setzer-esque. I think we've got that kind of idea. So I'm really trying to play the chord changes in my solo. So I'm thinking over the 1 chord and thinking out of the A7 or just this kind of C grip A shape, and you've got your A major pentatonic, you've got your A7 arpeggio. So, and I'm also adding in some little chromatics and things in there as well. That's often how I think in rockabilly. And the opening phrase, it's almost like a jazz lick there. I say it's a Brian Setzer lick, but I'm pretty sure that Charlie Christian plays stuff very, very similar to this. And there's such a big overlap between rockabilly and country and jazz. And if you have a few of these phrases, you can kind of get them into any of those contexts just by kind of adjusting your kind of attitude and your tone. But this opening lick, it's really, if you look at it, it's an F sharp minor 7 arpeggio, which you can play over an A or an A7 chord, and it gives you that major 6th kind of a sound. And then we've got some chromatics in there, and then kind of coming down, it's kind of a combination of the A7 arpeggio and A major pentatonic scale. It's that mishmash of major and minor there. So that was my opening lick, something like this. I will try and transcribe exactly what I played. Then we're heading to the 4 chord, and once again I'm just thinking in terms of outlining that chord, thinking out of the chord. So thinking kind of D7 there. This time I'm in this G position here. I've got major pentatonic. I can mix major and minor ideas, maybe some D Mixolydian stuff as well. So then I think I continue with so heading back to the 1 chord there, some bluesy kind of A blues scale. And then coming back into this position, thinking around this chord shape. And then for the 5 chord lick, this is another lick stolen from Brian Setzer. I think he probably stole it from Cliff Gallup, and it's just this chromatic octave thing. So sliding into an E octave shape and just taking that up. Before we hit the 1 chord. So important point that I didn't make earlier with this one is when we hit the 5 chord, it's 2 bars on the 5 chord. You're not hearing that 5 going down to the 4. So here we're just hitting the 5 chord. And then back home to the 1 chord, and I think I just finished off with a little ending lick. And a nice kind of sliding or shifting 9th chord idea here. So it's this shape here, which is an A9 chord. I'm just playing 4 on the A and then 5, 4 and 5. It's kind of a rootless A9 chord. I like to imagine the root note as being there. You don't actually need to play it. The bass player is covering that. I'm just approaching that from 1 fret above. So always a great ending chord. Let me talk about the gear that I'm using today. Once again, I'm using my Vox Virage. I think it works quite well for this rockabilly kind of stuff. I'm using the bridge pickup. I've actually got this selector switch in the middle position, which I think is supposed to give you a fat single coil sound rather than the full humbucker sound. I think that works for this kind of a style. I suppose the only thing I'm lacking on this guitar is a Bigsby or a kind of tremolo arm of some kind. I don't have a kind of dedicated rockabilly guitar. Maybe I should get a Gretsch or something, but I've never quite got around to it. I'm not quite sure what I should go for in terms of Gretches, but if anyone's got any suggestions, let me know, and it's certainly something I might consider. And as far as that amp goes today, I'm once again using my Fender Princeton. And then for that classic rockabilly slapback sound, I thought I'd get out my Roland Space Echo, which is a real tape echo machine. And it's a fantastic, if slightly temperamental thing. It's a little bit noisy, but I suppose if you want something that's well behaved and doesn't make any noise, then you can always go for one of the more modern pedal versions or a computer plugin. I've got nothing against any of those things. I'm actually thinking about picking up one of the new Boss Space Echo pedals, which look fantastic, but you can't really beat the real thing, and it has got this slightly unpredictable quality to it. It's a little bit noisy. There's quite a lot of hiss there. So actually, when I was doing the teaching segments of this video, I bypassed that, and I'm just using my MXR carbon copy delay, which sounds pretty excellent, I think, anyway. That's it for today. Hope you enjoyed it. As I've already said, tab for exactly what I play at the start of this video is going to be up on my Patreon page. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.